When will it end? How much will we get? It's 5 o'clock. Your local news starts right now.
Good evening. I'm Adrian Harewood.
And I'm Lucy van Oldenbarneveld. Ottawa City Council.
So my name is Adrian Harewood, and I'm currently the host of CBC News, co-host I should say, co-host of CBC News Ottawa at 5, 5:30 and 6, and the late night newscast as well. I started here in Ottawa with a program called All in a Day, which is the drive home show. And in many ways it was kind of a dream job. I was learning every day, and I had a chance to interview probably thousands of people from many different walks of life. And a couple months ago I was offered this opportunity to become the co-anchor. If truth be told, I was a bit reluctant. However, I thought I would try it, and at this point I don't regret the move.
Looking ahead to the 6 o'clock news, Corey O'Kelly takes a closer look at the battle that is brewing over the city's budget. Simon Gardner talks to home inspectors who are worried.
When you're on radio, because there's not a camera on you, you can be much more natural. At least I can be much more natural. So I have to learn how to tell stories as easily as I can on radio with the camera in front of me.
Hannah Thibodeau has been following that story for us. Hannah.
Television rewards people who are very quick on their feet. And not that radio doesn't, but radio you have a little bit more space. Because in television, people are looking at you. And so you have to move them through the next sentence. And I tend to be a bit of a slow thinker. So I have to kind of quicken up. The body actually does speak a language, and you have to be very aware that everything that you do is being scrutinized. When you raise your eyebrow or squint or move your shoulders, people are noticing, and it's quite off-putting as a viewer if you're focusing on the gesticulations of the anchor and not hearing the story. So you have to be controlled without being rigid. So what I'm doing in the hours preceding the program, I'm just going over the story over and over and over again. Semenya's gender has been disputed ever since she won an 800-meter track event last summer in Berlin. It was widely expected results of the gender test would be released tomorrow. Health studies have shown that moderate drinking is good for health. Now a new study says heavy drinking is also good for you, especially if you're a man. I'm also reading the background to the story because even though all the information is in front of you, your read comes across as being more credible. Going over the story, that's really the most important thing. Some health officials are suggesting we've turned a corner. Hannah Thibodeau is following the story for us and joins us now from the newsroom. The challenge is to find opportunities to be creative. So, for example, when you're anchoring, maybe what you do is you think a lot about the story you're going to tell, and you think about ways in which you can emphasize different words. Well, it's possible murder for hire within a cross-border, It's hard for someone who isn't in it to maybe understand what I'm talking about, in that you get satisfaction out of seemingly insignificant things. For example, saying the story in a way that I know lifts it off the page. That's gratifying after just, that little thing that a viewer couldn't really tell.
France advances, but with a very controversial call. Next.
You make it into an art, which it is. All in a Day was the most listened to program at that time, and so a lot of people listened to it, and I know that it had an impact. But I think there's also something to be said about the image. The image is very, very powerful, and there's something to be said about being on television. Like, for whatever reason, for some people, particularly younger people, it matters more.
Nancy Durham explains.
I know that there are not a lot of black Canadian anchors, and I know that in this city it matters to a lot of parents and their kids that I'm in the position that I'm in. And I know that for a lot of younger people, seeing me here gives them a sense that there are possibilities, and I understand the significance of it. I've only been in this job for a couple weeks, so it's hard for me to be kind of definitive in my assessment of it. However, I'll never get the same kind of satisfaction doing an anchoring job as I would doing, hosting a current affairs show. Like, it's just very, very different.
That was Alan Waterman reporting from Vancouver.
Radio will always be my first love, and it will always be something, like, I'll eventually go back to it, because it is much more personally satisfying, much more fulfilling. But I think that all in all, it's been a good move for now. We'll see how long it lasts. It might last 3 months or a year, or who knows.
Good evening. I'm Adrian Harewood.
And I'm Lucy van Oldenbarneveld. Ottawa's new budget process gets its first full workout tomorrow.